Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. Mr. Gill, please call your next witness.
We call Ingrid LLerena.
This was, excuse me, witness, please, an interpreter, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Before we get started, could you please state your name and your license number for the record?
Sonia Sanchez, license number 676.
Can you raise your right hand? You swear the translation from English to Spanish and Spanish to English will be true and accurate to the best of your abilities?
I do, Your Honor.
Very good. Ma'am, could you state your name for me, please?
Ingrid LLerena.
Ingrid LLerena. LLerena.
Could you please raise your right hand?
Por favor, levanta su mano derecha.
You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
El testimonio va a ser toda la verdad.
Sí.
Yes.
Please
Para
have a
la
seat.
mano y jovencito.
You responding to questions from Mr. Gill. Whose witness will this be? Or Ms. Martin? You may receive a ready, Mr. Gill.
Your name is Ingrid.
Su nombre es Ingrid. Espéreme. Yes.
And Ingrid, do you know the gentleman seated two people to my right?
¿Conoce bien el varón que está a mi lado derecho? Segundo.
Sí.
Yes.
Who is he to you?
¿Quién es él hacia usted?
Mi esposo.
My spouse.
And how long have you known Roy?
¿Qué cantidad de tiempo ha conocido a Roy?
Desde el 2013, noviembre 6, de septiembre 6.
As of 2003, November 6th, no, September 6th,
2003?
año 2003.
13.
No, 2013.
Okay. And in 2013, where did you and Roy meet?
¿Dónde se juntaron y se conocieron en 2003?
Lo conocí como en donde yo trabajo.
I met him, we met where I work.
And where were you working at the time?
En ese entonces, ¿dónde estaba trabajando?
En 7-Eleven.
In a 7-Eleven.
Do you still work for 7-Eleven?
¿Sigue trabajando por
Sí.
ese 7-Eleven?
Correcto.
Yes, correct.
And in which city do you work?
Ahora, ¿en qué ciudad trabaja?
Valley Spring.
Bog Springs.
And is that the same store you were working in when you met Roy?
¿Es la misma tienda donde conoció a Roy?
Correct.
Correct.
Correcto.
And what were the circumstances of you two meeting?
¿Cuál fue la razón o circunstancias en la cual se conocieron?
Era fue a comprar algo ahí.
He arrived to purchase something there.
Was he in uniform?
No,
¿Estaba vestido como uniformado?
no.
No.
Was he, so he was off duty at the time?
Estaba descansando fuera del trabajo,
Sí.
¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
And did you and he come to form a friendship or a relationship?
Conociéndolo se vinieron a ser amistosos y luego tuvieron relación.
Amigos.
Friends.
And at some point did that turn into a romantic relationship?
Y ser amistosos llegó a ser tener una relación íntima.
Correcto.
Correct.
And today you and Roy are husband and wife, is that right?
Correcto.
Hoy son esposo con esposa con Roy Alway.
Correcto.
Correct.
And this is very hard for you this afternoon, isn't
¿Verdad que es bien duro para
Sí.
ti hoy? Yes.
it? This whole thing has been very hard for you, hasn't it?
Enteramente todo ha sido difícil para ti. Yes.
Well, I won't keep you up there very long, as I know you're very upset.
Pues no la voy a tener mucho tiempo. Yo sé que estás enojada.
And we've heard testimony, you and Roy have a son together, right?
Y supimos que entre usted y Roy tienen un hijo, varón.
Sí.
Yes.
And his name is Todd.
Y su nombre es Carl.
Sí.
Yes.
And what is Todd's date of birth?
¿Qué fecha nació Todd?
El 15 de julio del 2015.
15th of July 2015.
So he just turned 3 not long ago.
Acaba de cumplir 3 años, no hace mucho.
Correcto.
Correct.
And are you concerned about Todd's future without Roy?
Y si Roy está preocupada por su hijo Todd.
Sí.
Yes.
And what are your concerns?
Diga, ¿de qué está preocupada?
Que no va a tener una figura paterna.
That he may never have a human man figure.
Do you make a lot of money at 7-Eleven?
¿Hace mucho dinero en el 7-Eleven?
No.
No.
Is it going to be difficult for you
Va a ser
to
difícil
support yourself and Todd?
para mantenerse a usted y a Todd.
Sí.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of family that you can rely on?
¿Tiene mucha familia alrededor que le pueden usted depender de ellos? ¿Usted tiene familia?
Tengo, mi mamá está en Nueva York.
My mom is in New York.
En my kids here. Tengo 2 hijos.
I also have 2 kids, 2 boys here.
And is it, with your family spread out like that, is it going to be difficult for you to make ends meet?
Teniendo la familia separada tan retirado, va a ser difícil financieramente para cumplir su cargo.
Bien duro.
Very hard.
Up until last night, has Roy been able to be there for you?
¿Hasta el día de anoche ha estado Roy con usted?
No.
No.
Up until last night,
Oh, last night.
has Roy
Hasta
been able to be there for
medianoche
you?
Roy estuvo pendiente con usted,
Oh,
¿verdad?
sí.
Oh, yes, sorry.
And so last night kind of began a new way of life for you and Todd, is
Comenzó
that right?
anoche una nueva vida ahora con Tom.
Sí.
Yes.
Preguntándome dónde fue su papá.
He is asking, or they are asking for the father. His father.
I'm going to show you what have been marked as State's Exhibits 31,
Aquí está el número 31,
38,
38,
39,
39
40,
y 40.
and 41.
Y 41.
And-
You meant to say defense exhibit, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sure I said something else right. Defendants Exhibits 31, 38, 39, 40, and 41.
Las fotos 31, 38.
Do you recognize the people in each of these
¿Sí
photographs?
reconoce cada uno de los fotógrafos?
Sí,
Y-
es mi hijo y mi esposo.
Yes, my son and my husband.
And you also, right?
Y también aquí usted.
Sí,
Yes, here, yes.
en Navidad.
Repita.
En Navidad.
On Christmas time.
Y aquí,
And here,
cuando estaba en Petrol, lo íbamos a ver en su break y estábamos en Taco Cabana.
when he was at work as the patrolman, we would visit him at lunch and we would eat at
Taco Cabana.
Taco Cabana
En diferentes lugares.
or other different areas.
Pues siempre quería ver a su hijo.
He always would want to see his son. Yes.
Siempre estaba riéndose conmigo.
At all times he was smiling together with
Always happy. Nunca lo vi
always happy. I never saw him sad
Sad or bravo,
or
enojado.
violent or mean. None of that.
Is that a photo of Todd on a special occasion?
Es su hijo estaba con una buena día de especial.
Cumpleaños, su
Oh.
tercer cumpleaños.
On his birthday Yes.
El mes pasado
last month.
lo llevamos a agarrar el cake.
We went and purchased so he could pick on his cake.
Thomas the Train, porque le gusta Thomas the Train. Thomas the Train.
This Thomas train is on the picture. He loves the Thomas the Train.
And the state's, defendant's 38,
Y del estado
you made a reference to a photograph being at Christmas time.
38 referencia al día navideño.
Sí, este
Yes.
And what year Christmas is that?
¿Y qué año es este?
es el 2016.
This was the year 2016.
Okay, so Todd is about a year and a half old there?
Todd tenía un año y
Un año y
medio.
medio.
Yes, 1 year and a half.
Como 18 meses.
Approximately 18 months.
Fuimos
We went to
a tomarnos fotos allá.
take a picture
Y
there,
tener tiempo de familia como siempre.
like a
teníamos.
family get together that we always had.
And defendant's 31, is that
Número 39 de la
up at
derecha.
the police department?
Sí,
¿Es en el departamento de policía?
en el departamento de la
Yes,
policía.
the Department of the Police.
Como siempre lo visitábamos.
Like we always would go visit him.
Was the Ball Springs Police Department a
Y
family
Box
place?
Springs era familiarizado ese edificio de la oficina.
El edificio donde
The building where he was working,
de
yes.
Boston.
In Box Springs, yes.
Y comíamos a veces.
And we would
Ocasiones.
eat when he would come out. We would eat together.
We offered defendants 31 and 38 through 41.
No objection.
All of those exhibits are admitted, you may publish. Ma'am, do you need a minute?
¿Quiere un ratito afuera? Yes.
All right, very good. Members of the jury, if you would please go to the sheriff and wait for their instructions.
All right.
You can leave the exhibits on the wall like the marker sheet. Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. Mr. Gill, why don't you consider the witness and let me know in the next couple of minutes what she's going to do. Court's in recess. Hi. Go back on the record. We're outside the presence of the jury. You okay?
¿Está mejor?
Sí.
Yes.
Take a deep breath.
Tomen
Bring the jurors in.
profundamente a una área así.
Answer the questions as best you can. If you need a break, let me know. Okay?
Conteste bien las preguntas y si quiere una quebrada, avíseme. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sí.
We'll call the jury. Hey, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. You can have a seat. I'll remind you, you're still under the oath. I gave you before we vote. Mr. Gill, you may proceed whenever you're ready.
Ingrid, your son Todd
Ingrid, su hijo Tab
has some issues that you and Roy have been dealing with.
Tiene cosas pendientes que usted y Roy han tenido que tratar.
Sí.
Yes.
And what are those issues?
¿Cuáles son?
Él sufre de autismo.
He is ill with autism.
And what have you and Roy begun to do to deal with that issue?
¿Usted y Roy qué han hecho para tratar ese caso de esa especialidad?
Cuando lo diagnosticaron,
When they diagnosed this to us,
fue muy fuerte para nosotros
it was harsh on both of us
y toda la familia.
and the entire family.
Y de ahí buscamos ayuda para
And we seek help
ayudarlo en todo lo que es el que está pequeño, y nos dijeron los especialistas que mientras más temprano es mejor.
as soon as he was little, we began seeking help, and doctors mentioned that the younger, the sooner the better, is to get the attention.
So, hemos hecho hoy especialmente él.
Obi, especially him,
Se encargó de terapias y todo, de terapia, lo pusimos en terapia, está en terapia.
placed him on therapy. He is on therapy, but he would take him to that.
Y de ahí hasta que tenía los 3 años que cumplió, se le terminó.
From then on, him completing the 3 years, it finished.
Y empezó otra terapia en una clínica,
Changed it to another therapy on a clinic,
una clínica privada.
a private clinic.
Y gracias a Dios,
And I thanks to be to God,
donde trabaja Roy,
where Roy works,
él agarró su aseguranza.
he received his health insurance,
Y pudimos agarrar esa clínica
and we were able to get that company, that service,
porque no podía Medicaid cubrir.
because Medicaid would not cover any of it.
With Roy gone, is it going to be difficult for you to carry forward with Bob's therapy?
Sí, sí,
Con
porque
Roy yéndose de tu casa, va a ser difícil para ti poder cumplir con esto.
sí, porque
Yes, because of this.
porque la aseguranza cubre una parte
The insurance that he has covers partial,
y Roy pagaba el resto.
and Roy would finish paying the balance.
Era un pago cada semana.
It was a weekly payment.
Are you concerned about Tom's future?
¿Está preocupada por el futuro de su hijo Todd?
Sí,
Yes.
You love your husband?
¿Ama usted a su esposo, sí o no?
¿cómo?
¿Ama a su esposo, sí o no? Very much.
Siempre.
Always have.
Siempre estaré con él.
And I will always be with him.
We always be with him.
Will always be with him.
Does Roy love you?
Roy te ama a ti.
Sí, él
Yes.
siempre me lo ha dicho.
Always has stated that to me.
Is he a good man?
Es buen varón.
Es un buen hombre,
Very good man.
un buen esposo
Very good husband.
y el mejor padre que mi hijo puede tener.
And the best father that my son could ever have.
You understand from being here during the last couple of weeks that the Edwards family has lost a son.
Durante el tiempo de estas semanas, Edwards ha perdido un hijo.
Sí,
Yes. Heavy.
yo sé porque también tengo
Are
hijos
are
más
you
grandes.
asking this jury to be lenient on Roy?
Le pide a ellos que sean quebrantados hacia Roy. Que tengan misericordia.
Sí, él
Yes.
es un buen hombre.
He is a very good man.
un buen servidor, siempre le gusta
Good servant, he enjoys doing
su trabajo,
his job.
siempre listo para su trabajo,
At
ayudar
all
a la
times
gente.
was to help other people.
All right, you're asking the jury to take, sorry, go ahead.
Siga, repita.
Are you asking the jury to consider all of Roy's good qualities?
Quiere que el jurado tome que la calidad y considere bien a su marido, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Yes. Mande.
No sé qué le voy a mí. Me pregunta por Daddy.
And my son is always asking for daddy. Daddy.
We pass the rule.
Cross-examination?
Ma'am, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. If you don't understand my question, please just let me know.
Escuche bien mi pregunta. Si no me entiende, avíseme que no le entendió.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you ever known your husband
Tus personas
to have anger issues?
coraje enojado.
No.
No.
Never been a hothead that you know of?
Nunca con cabeza caliente. No.
Were you all together when he was ordered to anger management?
Ambos estaban juntos cuando le mandaron que fuera a cuidar cómo controlar el coraje.
No,
¿Estaban juntos?
No creo.
No, I didn't know. I don't believe.
No, I don't. So you didn't even know that
Ni
he'd been ordered
siquiera
to anger management
supo
through
que él
his
estuvo bajo
job?
estos
No me
clases.
acuerdo si me dijo.
Today I
no.
cannot remember if
No me
he
acuerdo si me dijo.
stated it to me or not.
Okay.
Está bien.
And I see it's very difficult for you
Hoy miro que es bien difícil para usted.
to your husband's,
La pérdida de su esposo,
what he's been convicted of.
a lo que le han hallado contra él.
Sí. Bien
Yes.
duro.
It's
Can you-
very hard.
Okay. Do you imagine that it's equally or actually
Será
more difficult
más
for
difícil para
Jordan's parents
la
to
familia
have to
de
go through
Jordan
life without their son?
que tengan problemas dramáticos con la pérdida de su hijo?
Nunca he perdido un hijo, pero tengo mis hijos grandes.
I've never lost one of my sons. I have but adult
Pero sí,
sons.
sí entiendo mucho
I
dolor.
understand it's very, very painful.
You would agree with me that losing a child is the
También
greatest
estoy de
loss
acuerdo que sería una gran
that
pérdida
one could
de
endure.
una criatura entre la familia.
Sí,
Yes.
es como mi
Pass
hijo.
the literature.
Mr. Gill?
Nothing further.
Very good. Ma'am, you may stand down. You're excused from any further service needs. Thank you. Mr. Gill?
Judge, we call First Sergeant Chritopher Lynch.
Very good. Mr. Lynch, you would please come to the front of the courtroom. There's a witness stand here, but before you have a seat, if you could please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes, sir.
Please have a seat. We respond to the questions from Mr. Lane, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smythe, will this be your witness?
Yes, sir.
And perhaps Mr. Smythe. Mr. Lane, whenever you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you, sir. Before I begin to ask the First Sergeant some questions, I'm going to offer what I've had marked as Defendant's Exhibit number 27 as Defendant's Exhibit number 27. I've shown it to Mr. Snipes.
No, Jay.
Defense 27 is admitted for all purposes and may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I'm going to ask First Sergeant some questions. Would you introduce yourself, excuse me, to this jury?
My name is Christopher Lynch.
Can you spell your name for the court reporter?
CHRISTOPHERLYNCH.
You know this young man seated here?
Yes, sir.
What's his name?
Roy Oliver.
How did you know him?
He was one of my soldiers and later on at NCO when I was in the Army.
Give this jury a little bit of your background. Where are you living and what do you do for a living?
Currently, I live in Georgetown, it's North Austin. Now I'm a special education teacher at a high school in Leander Independent School District. I've been doing that for the last 4 years after I retired from the military. I served in the Army for 23 years.
And do you prefer that you be referred to as First Sergeant or just Mr. Lynch or Chris?
Chris or Mr. Lynch is fine.
For those on the jury that might not know, what is the function of a First Sergeant?
My responsibility was to care for the men and women underneath me, to lead the young leaders, make sure that the soldiers were taken care of, training, education, families. It's a broad spectrum of responsibilities.
Of course, there are stateside responsibilities and then overseas responsibilities.
Yes, sir.
What are the differences there?
The differences are on stateside, we're doing mostly training. We also get some downtime, family time, stuff like that. And it's the responsibilities are still there and still very similar. The difference once you deploy and you're in a combat zone, of course, the danger factor escalates some. Soldiers are separated from their families, so we have really two responsibilities in that we are caring for the soldiers that are under us in a combat zone, and we are also responsible for the families that we have left behind to make sure that their needs and whatnot are being met as well.
Let's talk about how you first met Roy Oliver.
I first met Oliver. He came to my unit. I was running a rear detachment operation. Our unit was deployed downrange. I was left behind to...
You're going to use some terms here that the average person doesn't understand, maybe.
Okay.
Rear detachment, downrange, what? Can you help us out?
I apologize. So when a military unit deploys to a combat zone, we leave what's called a rear detachment. So we leave a small amount of personnel. Their mission is to take care of wounded soldiers, take care of soldiers who aren't quite ready to deploy yet. We take care of soldiers who are incoming into the units new from other places, and we make sure that they receive all of the training, all of the documentation, any kind of medical treatment, so that they're prepared to deploy, and then we send them as follow-on soldiers to the unit. We also have the responsibility of running what we call FRG, family readiness groups, and those are where we take care of the families. We provide information to the families. If the families are in need of something, we can direct them to the correct resources. We may provide those resources. And we're also responsible for casualty assistance. If we get kids that are wounded or killed, it's our responsibility in the rear detachment to take care of those families, regardless of whether they're at the home station where we're at or if they're somewhere else in the country. We have to make sure that someone is assigned to the family to coordinate the care of either the wounded soldiers or someone who's been killed, and to make sure that the family receives all of the benefits that they're supposed to get.
You use the term kids that are killed. Who are you talking about?
Soldiers. I had a lot of soldiers under me. I was older. I understand they're all grown, they're adults, but they're still kids. You know, we send kids to combat. You aren't really fully grown. I understand what the law and legal say, but you know, for someone to be mentally is grown, they're still, when they're younger, you look at them as kids, especially when you have your own kids. So,
how many tours in Iraq did you do?
I did I did one in Iraq and 2 in Kuwait.
Just for everybody's understanding, did that war begin to change from the first time you went to Iraq?
Yes, I was. Our last tour in Iraq, where I also was with Sergeant Oliver, we started transitioning from a wartime mission to more of a police or a peacetime mission, to where we weren't involved in as much combat conflicts as when it first started and we entered the country.
We're looking at that exhibit. You have in front of the defense exhibit number
Yes, sir.
27. Can you tell, I'm going to ask you a number of questions about it, but can you tell from that exhibit when Sergeant Oliver first went to Iraq?
Yes, sir. There's his first tour in Iraq would be October 5th, 2004 to September 24th, 2005.
Did you serve in Iraq during that period of time?
No, sir. No, sir.
Would that have been in the wartime as far as?
Yes, sir. That was the early part of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
And then can you tell from that exhibit 27 the second tour that he did?
The second tour he did from January 7th, 2009 to November 25th, 2009.
Now, looking at that exhibit, the first page is called a DD-214.
Yes, sir.
How do you characterize what a DD-214 is?
The DD-214 is the documentation that we receive when we leave the military. Whether you ETS, which means that you sign a contract for 4 years to join the Army. At the end of your 4 years is your ETS, and then you get a DD-214. It has a roll-up of your awards that you've earned while you were there. It has a roll-up of the time served, the schools that you've been to, deployments, and when you went to these different places. It also has your duty stations and your MOS, and it's what most after you're out of the military, anytime you jobs and different things, when you fill out applications, and if you've been in the military, most people want to see the DD-214 to see what your discharge is, and it also states, like what type of discharge you got.
And what does that DD-214 reflect as far as Sergeant Oliver's?
He was discharged under honorable conditions.
An honorable discharge?
Yes.
Entitled to all VA benefits?
Yes.
From looking at that document, I'm going to ask you, and I asked you to do this before, can you quickly go through what awards and citations that he received?
Yes, sir. Some of the awards, he received the Iraq Campaign Medal with 2 campaign stars. He received 4 Army Commendation Medals, 2 Army Achievement Medals, a Navy Unit Commendation, a Valorous Unit Award, Army Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Non-Commissioned Officers Medal, Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, and the Combat Infantry Badge.
So if Sergeant Oliver were to show up in full dress uniform, would he be entitled to wear the bar with all of those medals on it?
Yes, sir.
And he would receive certificates from the service on each one of those awards?
Yes, sir. When we do awards presentations, when it's the first award, you receive a small box with a medal and a ribbon, and then you also get a certificate in a green folder with the Army emblem on the front of it. Awards after that, you just get the certificate presented to you in the green folder, and the ceremonies vary on size and location, just depends on what's going on at the time.
Those awards and citations, would that be what you would expect a good combat soldier to receive?
Yes, sir.
And of course, the combat infantryman's badge is only awarded to what type of a soldier?
The best soldiers, and they have to go to combat to receive the combat infantry badge.
Now, looking at the rest of that exhibit, so when it's passed around, they'll understand. Look at the second page, and I just pulled sample pages out of his what we refer to as a 201 file, this personnel file. What is that?
The second page is a continuation of the duty 214.
What's the third?
And the third page is NCOER, non-commissioned officer evaluation report.
And what is the grade or rank that you see that Sergeant Oliver had?
Sergeant.
And what would that be, E1 through what?
It's a E5 for pay grade. The rank is sergeant, the pay grade is E5.
And how high does the NCO ranks go? E5 to what?
NCO ranks go from E1 to E9, E1 being private, E9 being sergeant major.
And there's not very many sergeant majors.
No, sir.
And what would your rank be in that?
I retired as a sergeant first class,
So about E what?
E7.
From looking at that exhibit, then let's go to, well, is there anything significant that we wanted to point out to the jury on that particular third page?
The NCOERs are evaluations. Once you become a non-commissioned officer, there's a requirement to do evaluations annually. And it talks about performance and schooling and different things that we have done in training throughout that year. It also makes recommendations for promotion or advanced schooling and things of that nature.
What is number fourth page?
That's the second page of the NCOER.
The NCO evaluations. Is there anything particular on those evaluations that you noticed that you might want to tell the jury about?
He was, on this NCOER, he was rated successful in all of his areas. They rate on competence, physical fitness, military bearing, leadership, training, responsibility, and accountability, and then there's an overall rating from the rater of fully capable.
Go to the next page.
Yes, sir. This is another NCOER?
Same type of a rating system,
Yes, sir.
and just a reflection of what the raters thought about Sergeant Oliver.
Yes, sir. And he, all success, he got an among the best, or excellent for competence. All success for the rest of the areas, fully capable, and promote to staff sergeant.
Any of those that you've looked at reflect the number of combat operations that Roy Oliver went through?
During this year, he was on 200 patrols, combat patrols.
And what does that mean to you?
A combat patrol is any time that you go outside of the camps that we stayed on for a patrol. Sergeant Oliver was responsible for, he was on a personal security detachment, so he was responsible for the safety of our command. That team itself was responsible for the safety of our command, so they were in a little bit different situation because a lot of times it was our commanders going out to meet different people within the community and stuff and trying to build relationships.
Let me stop you there. I want you to give this jury a little more background.
Okay.
That report reflects 200 combat operations.
Yes, sir.
The other 2 pages in there are simply a reflection of what the awards look like, so they don't have kind of understanding of what they look like.
Yes, sir. It's a copy of the certificate for Army Achievement Medal.
But each award that we've talked about or citation would have something like that in this file.
Yes.
And then the last page is attached to that exhibit.
The last page is his permanent orders for Good Conduct Medal, his second Good Conduct Medal.
Is there some requirement to get a good conduct medal?
Your service has to be, you can't be in any kind of trouble or anything. You have to have had good service, no flags as far as couldn't have been in any trouble, received any negative counseling or NCOERs, failing PT tests, you have to stay physically fit.
You use the term flag, that really is a military term when your 201 file is pulled and somebody started looking at that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, tell this jury a little bit about, now you met Sergeant Oliver when?
It was 2006, around 2006,
Where was that?
Fort Hood, Texas.
And what was your job at Fort Hood?
I was the rear detachment first sergeant.
And were you preparing a unit to go back to Iraq?
We had already sent our main unit to Iraq, and we were, like I said earlier, receiving soldiers that we had to either, they were coming from different duty assignments and prepare them to deploy, or they were medically recovering from injuries or wounds, or just there's various reasons why people might not deploy with the main body, and our job was to get all of those soldiers able-bodied and then send them downrange, and also take care of the families and work casualty assistance.
Okay, when you say downrange, what is that?
Deployed to the combat zone, to Iraq.
All right, now, what were the circumstances that you met Oliver under?
He had PCS'd from a unit. He was also recovering.
PCS means permanent change?
Permanent change of station. He came from a different location, and he was also recovering from an injury.
An injury? So when you first met him, were you starting to supervise him or groom him to do anything in particular?
I was his first sergeant, and then he, after talking to him and finding out his level of experience and what his goal was and what our goal was, I started using him in anywhere that I possibly could to assist our unit, taking care of families, training soldiers, getting people ready to go.
What was your overall impression of his military bearing and ability to do that?
I was very impressed. He was a specialist at the time, and he showed great responsibility. He had a lot of knowledge, had a lot of experience. He'd been in combat already, so that experience was good to use with the new soldiers and stuff that we had that were coming out of basic training.
Was he one who showed good judgment?
Yes, sir.
And so what did you eventually choose him to be on a particular type of a mission when he went back to Iraq?
Yes, sir. Eventually we recommended for him to be promoted to sergeant, and then he was also...
When you use the term we, who's we?
So, as a first sergeant, I would be the highest NCO in the company, and then I have other NCOs, junior NCOs, and there's a rank structure, so it goes E1 through E9. So what we would do is it starts down at the squad level, which you might have 4 or 5 people that you're responsible for, and then it goes into a section, which the number might double, platoons, it doubles again, and then first sergeant, it goes even further. So there's a group of NCOs, it's called a chain of command, or NCO support channel. So I would talk to my junior NCOs about soldiers who we thought were ready for promotion, ready to move to the next grade, whether it be an NCO or just move up in pay grade.
So what did you decide to do with Oliver?
We made a recommendation to start the process for him to get promoted.
And then after you promoted him to what?
You have to sergeant. He has to earn his promotion. It's earned by, there's several things that you have to do. You have to be boarded. You have to go in front of a board of senior NCOs who will ask questions. There's also, if you're showing levels of responsibility, you also have training factors in there. And then it's run off of a point system, so based on what you earn from your board, what you've earned from your awards, your weapons qualification, your PT, physical training score, things of that nature. And then the promotion score is a Department of the Army thing by MOS, and once you reach that total points, then you can be promoted.
And so he was promoted, and then what did you decide? What was your recommendation for him to do as far as his military?
He was one of my junior NCOs, and I gave him a lot of responsibility in training and preparing soldiers for combat. Also, he assisted in helping soldiers leave the Army, regardless of whether it was for discipline or if it was for medical reasons or whatever, but to take care of them, make sure that they were receiving and all the benefits and everything that they had earned before they departed. Also, he assisted me in helping take care of families, working with our funeral teams to train them.
How long did he do that with you?
That was about 18 months. The deployment was an extended deployment, so the deployment itself was about 15 months. We had 90 days prior and 90 days post-deployment responsibilities.
Well, did you eventually deploy with Sergeant Oliver?
Yes, after that we started preparing for the next deployment when the unit returned.
And we use the term deployment, that means you're going to go back to Iraq.
Yes, sir.
And y'all were going back at that time, I understand, more of a peacekeeping force.
It was still considered Operation Iraqi Freedom, but where we were going was northern Iraq and in Kurdistan, so it was tensions were a little bit high there. So our primary mission was to try to keep the peace between the Kurdish region in the north and the Iraqis in the south, and so that was our primary mission.
So when you deployed, what duty did you give Sergeant Oliver?
Before we even deployed, we had to select the teams for the personal security detachment, and he was selected to be on one of those teams.
And briefly, what does that really mean to a soldier?
It could mean multiple things.
Let me ask it this way, was there a different price on the head of military soldiers over in Iraq?
Yes, and so of course leaders are always going to be the ones that are targeted first, and so we put together the security detachments to escort our leaders out for these different peacekeeping missions to try to communicate with whether it's another military leader, it might be a political leader.
When you say leader, you're talking about officers, you're talking about colonels?
Yes.
Lieutenant colonels?
Officers and senior NCOs. So sometimes our sergeant major would go out as well. It just depended on what type of event or meeting it was going to be.
But the Army decided to create personal security attachments or details where they actually traveled with and were the constant companion of a military officer or senior NCO.
Yes, sir.
I assume they also did that for VIPs that showed up.
Yes, sir.
And what was the criteria to choose soldiers to go do that? In your mind, just what you want to choose?
For me, it had to be my more responsible soldiers, ones who were self-motivated, who didn't need a lot of supervision, who could make decisions. And then the other unique aspect of it was people that I knew that would be willing to take care of whoever was in our detail, because the primary mission is for us, our primary mission was not combat, it was to take care of whoever we were out with. So if there was a situation or something happened, then somebody had the mission of taking whoever we were protecting and getting them out of the way and getting them to safety, and then assisting the rest of the unit in exiting the area.
Of course, we hear about Secret Service agents all the time, taking the bullet for the president. Is that pretty much what these NCOs were doing with the military officers?
Exactly.
It's kind of a nice way of saying it, right?
Yes, sir.
So their job was to make sure that person came home.
Yes, sir.
Did Oliver perform any other duties as far as having soldiers underneath him that he was responsible to making sure they came home?
Yes.
And briefly, what would that be?
Whatever truck he was on, he's responsible for that team, as far as in training them, making sure they were equipped, making sure that the team could work cohesively together, and that everybody knew their mission while outside the wire, then making sure that everybody's had their equipment they were supposed to have while they were out, make sure they were doing the job that they were supposed to be doing. Also checking the welfare of the soldiers and whatnot when we were back, to make sure that they were mentally and physically ready to do their mission.
Did you have an opinion as to whether or not Sergeant Oliver could function under stressful situations?
I had never had an issue with him not being able to.
Did you have an opinion as to whether or not he ever blew up in anger while he was under your command?
Never that I saw.
Did you form an opinion that he had good judgment?
Yes, sir.
Did you form an opinion that he could do his job and not have to have somebody telling him what to do all the time?
Yes, sir.
Did you form an opinion that you gave him a mission and he would try to accomplish that?
Yes, sir.
As far as if you were to rate Sergeant, well, were you ever his rater, personal rater?
I was never his direct rater.
But overall, you don't have to go through all the criteria, but how would you rate Oliver that you personally observed as a soldier?
He was one of the best soldiers that I've had the opportunity to work with. I never had any issues with him. He always was there to answer the call. One of the awards that he received was a new award that the Army started, and it was the Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal. And that's for people who go above and beyond what just their duty is. One time in particular, we needed somebody to play Santa Claus for the kids for the FRG because all the soldiers were deployed.
What's the FRG?
Family Readiness Group. So Oliver, volunteered to do that for the kids. So we got as many of the kids from the unit and the families together so that he and he played Santa Claus. So.
Well, Mr. Lynch, you know that Roy Oliver has been convicted of murder.
Yes, sir.
I assume that we visited you, understand the circumstances under how he was charged, and that this jury has found him guilty of that offense.
Yes, sir.
I asked you to come up here, and I guess the question is, what are you asking this jury to do?
I would just say be fair. Do the job that you've been charged with. Look at the whole person and not just one incident. But just fairness.
Let me ask you one last question. What type of students do you teach?
I work with behavior kids.
And what was that mean to us?
So I'm a special education teacher and I run a behavior program. So I work with kids that are autistic, emotional disturbances, ADD, ADHD, oppositional defiant. It's a broad spectrum of kids, but it's for my school, it's the kids whose behavior outweighs everything that they do. So I work with these kids because their number one issue or concern is their behavior, and it's causing a impact on their academic progress, and really it's causing an impact on their social progress. So so I work with behavior kids, or we call them behavior kids, but they're special education kids with behavior problems that we try to help them function and work through daily to survive the day and hopefully be successful products in society one day.
Mr. Lynch, what is, in your opinion, the challenge as far as dealing with autistic children?
There's multiple challenges. Patience is one thing working with those kids, but every kid is challenging in their own way, and you just have to build those relationships and try to understand and figure out a way to relate to them, so that you can build a trusting relationship and hopefully give them the ability to go to class with all the rest of the kids and to sit there and learn their academics, and in the future hopefully get a job and be able to live independently or as independently as possible, depending on the severity of whatever disability they're under.
One last question. In your opinion, what is the challenge for parents of an autistic child?
I couldn't imagine the challenges for a parent being full-time with an autistic child. I know what it's like for me to deal with them on a day-to-day basis, but I can only imagine that it's probably an incredible strain and very long hours.
In a sense, and everything is not quite as stringent as it is during a trial. Is there anything that we've left out or that you think would benefit this This jury about Roy Oliver?
Like I said, I would just ask that you be fair. I knew him when we served together in the Army, and I knew him as a compassionate, level-headed person. So,
Thank you, Judge. That's all the questions I have.
Cross-examination?
Yes, sir. Sergeant Lynch,
yes, sir.
we had a Vietnam veteran testify earlier in this trial,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Lane made sure that the jury knew that he had been in Vietnam as well. So
Yes,
I
sir.
wanted to let you know that I was in Iraq about the same time you were.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me ask you this. You said you were first sergeant in your company,
Yes, sir.
and that's E8, right?
Yes, sir.
How'd you end up as an E7?
I got promoted to Sergeant First Class.
Okay, but you said you were an E8 over there.
I was selected to be the company first sergeant. I was also spent a year as an operations sergeant major. I worked about 6 years above my pay grade.
But the point is, you retired at E7, correct?
Yes.
All right. What was the highest award you won over there?
The highest award, I got an MSM.
MSM. And his highest award was an RCOM,
Yes, sir.
okay? So you got a higher award.
Yes, sir.
And actually, the awards that he got over there for people that deploy over Iraq, pretty routine awards, would you say?
Some of them, I'd have to read all the accommodations to be able to tell you if it was just a service one or something in particular.
All right, well, I don't want you to do that. Okay, so you're back over here, functioning okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. You ever pulled a gun on a woman during the middle of a fender bender, sir?
No, sir.
Of course not. Did you ever brag about how it could have been a lot worse to DPD sergeants?
No, sir.
Did you ever take a jury like this and say to them, when you should be respecting them, I don't remember the fucking question? You ever do that?
No, sir.
Take a look at that Facebook page.
Yes,
See
sir.
that?
Yes, sir.
That's Mr. Oliver's Facebook page. You see on there where it says cover photos? Down at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You see on there where it's got, I will never in my life be as good at anything else as I am in killing people. Do you have a Facebook page, sir?
Yes, sir.
You got anything weird like that on there?
No, sir.
Ask the witness judge.
Okay, further questions?
I'm sorry?
I have no further questions.
Sir, you may stand down. Any objections? Any objections?
No.
Very good. Sir, you may stand down. You're excused from any further service in this matter.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gill, Mr. Lane, what says the defense?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, the defense rests.
Mr. Snipes?
We're ready, sir. Call Wendy Oliver.
Mr. Hermes? Mr. Lewis? Mr. Toole? Reflect, we're outside the presence of the jurors. The defense rests in this case. Mr. Snipes indicated he wished to call a certain witness. There, at that time, was a sidebar conference that we had with Mr. Oliver, Mr. Hermes, and Snipes, and probably Mr. Bissett. And I told Mr. Gill I'd give you an opportunity to articulate some things for the record. Mr. Gill, you may proceed when ready.
Your Honor, the state has let it be known that they wish to call a witness by the name of Wendy Oliver. And Wendy Oliver does not appear on the state's witness list.
All right. And the state's reply, I believe, was this a rebuttal?
Yes, sir. And we just found out about it at 11:59 today.
Okay. I'm going to overrule your objection, let her testify.
And this is the first, 5 minutes ago was the first we heard her name, or the first we knew that she was going to be called as a witness, and we don't know the substance of her testimony.
All right.
We have had no discovery on this issue. The state found out about it at 11-something this morning. They have not shared it with us until now.
Okay. Those objections are overruled. You can call the witness. Is there anything else?
We also understand that this witness may have some criminal history. We've not been apprised of any criminal history the witness may have, despite the court's earlier order.
Does she have any criminal history this week?
I don't know, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor. And the late 90s. She was sentenced to federal time for a period of 6 years. Her release date was in 2002, and I'm going to say, one, that's outside of the 10-year range for impeachment evidence, and would not be admissible. And we would ask for a motion in limine that the defense not be allowed to go into that.
So there was a federal conviction that she went off paper in 2005 at the latest, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I actually got let off federal paper 3 years
One
ago.
second. I'm sorry?
3 years early.
Yeah, they let me off federal paper.
All right, Mr. Chatham or Mr. Snipes, are you aware of any other criminal history that you need to disclose to the defense about this particular witness before she takes the witness stand?
I asked her about it, and she indicated that was the last brush with the law was in 2002.
Were there other brushes with the law?
Have you ever been arrested or convicted of anything since then?
Have you ever been arrested or convicted of anything before then? All right, your motion in limine is granted.
Judge, how about my motion, Judge? My objection.
It's overruled. Mr. Brissett.
Judge, as part of the pretrial, you allowed us to inspect without taking it away from the DA's office, copies of any NCIC or TCIC information. If the state has that in possession, may we look over the NCIC?
Do you have an NCIC on the witness?
I didn't do it.
Okay.
Your Honor, this witness came to us at noon and contacted her. She drove all the way from Arlington without having contacted us at all. And I met her downstairs. We've talked for the last 15, 20 minutes, asked her those questions, and that's been it.
So you don't have an NCIC?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't have one.
It only takes about, unless things have changed since I left Tarrant County's DA's office, it takes about 30 seconds to run one.
I know, I understand. I'm unaware of any provision that would authorize me to order the state to do that. Now, that could be, there could be some change since I had to deal with it. I don't know that I can order the state to run an NCIC on witness.
Well, you did order them to provide us any exculpatory or mitigating information in their possession, and it isn't until we ask on the record that we get that information. So,
All right, no letter testifying, motion limited is granted. Over your objection, I'll give you a running objection on testimony. Mr. Snipes, you ready?
yes, sir.
Will you be taking the witness or Mr. Chatham?
All right.
Line up, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. Mr. Snipes?
How are you all?
Good afternoon. Ma'am. Hi. Before you have a seat, if you could please face me and raise your right hand. I swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right, please have a seat. Make sure you talk loud enough for everybody to hear you. You'll be responding to questions from Mr. Snipes and perhaps also even Mr. Gill and Mr. Lane to your right. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Make sure you speak loud enough for the jury to hear you, okay?
Talking to this?
Yes. Please state your full name for the record, spell your first name, spell your last name.
My name is Wendy Oliver, Wendioliver.
Okay. And do you know the defendant in this case, Roy Oliver?
Yes, he's my brother.
Okay, will you point to him, please, and describe the article of clothing he's wearing?
The suit with the other tie, checker tie.
Bald-headed?
Yes.
The record to reflect the witness is correctly identified the defendant, Judge.
Record shall so reflect.
Okay. You're his sister?
Yes, half sister.
At 11:59 a.m. today, 2.5 hours ago, you reached out to Charmaine Edwards
Yes, sir.
on Facebook, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And before that time, I'd never even heard of you.
Mm-hmm.
Say yes or no?
No,
Okay. And did you send her a message?
I did.
Okay. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you sent her.
I sent her a message saying that I hope that justice is served in this case, and I hope that he gets what he deserves because he took an innocent life. And I feel sorry for what that he has done to this boy. And I was watching testimony.
And the testimony moved you to come down here.
Yes,
And you described him as trash.
yes.
So a bunch of witnesses came in here and told this jury that he should get the minimum sentence. What do you think about that?
I don't think so.
How about
Because
the
of,
maximum sentence?
I think so because of the circumstances that happened.
All I got to
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Wendy Oliver.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Oliver, my name is Bob Gill, and I represent your brother.
Mhm.
Have we ever talked before?
No,
Did you contact us and let us know what your opinion was?
no,
Wasn't it about 3 weeks ago that you and Roy were communicating with each other?
I sent him a text message.
Okay. And in that text message about 3 weeks ago, isn't it true that you told him that you were praying for him?
I didn't say I was praying for him.
Well, what did you say?
I said, when will all this be over? I'll be glad when all this is over. And he said, weathering the storm for now.
And you didn't tell him that you were praying for him?
No,
You and Roy have the same father,
yes,
and you have different mothers, is that right?
yes,
And my understanding is that you're a few years older than Roy?
yes.
How much older?
I don't even know his age.
Well, how old are you?
42.
Okay. Where are you working these days?
For O'Brien's, garage doors,
Garage doors, what do you do for them?
dispatcher.
Okay. Do you know who those people are?
Yes,
Is that Mr. Gill?
Defendants Exhibit 38. Who are they?
I just met her, that's his girlfriend, and his little boy.
You just met his wife.
No, that's not his wife.
Okay, well, she stayed up here and took an oath and said that she was his wife. I guess she's lying, huh?
That's not his wife, unless he got married and I don't know.
Okay. Well, could that have happened?
I guess, I don't talk to him.
Yeah, exactly. Who are those folks? Defense 31.
That's him,
Okay.
his little boy.
Okay. You know his little boy's name?
No,
Okay. Who's that?
him and his little boy.
Defense 40. Him and his unnamed child, right? Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay. We have nothing further. Nothing else, Judge?
Ma'am, you may stand down. You excuse me further service in the night. I says in the statement.
Maybe this witness be finally excused, Your Honor.
Any objections? Or subject to recall?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And you may be finally excused.
I'm mistaken, yes, sir. Oh, Pastor Dorsey, Judge.
Very good. Sir, if you could please come to the front of the courtroom. Mr. Snipes, there's some pictures that were up here. Could you please take care of them?
Yes, sir.
While he's doing that, sir, could you raise your right hand? You promise the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes, sir.
Please have a seat. Will you find any questions for Mr. Snipes? That's also Mr. Gill. Mr. Gill?
I'm also not finding his name on the witness list, Judge.
Your objection is overruled if that's true. That's his rebuttal. We'll have a running objection to his testimony. Go ahead, sir.
Please state your full name, spell your first name, spell your last name for the record.
My name is Martin Lee Dorsey, M-A-R-T-I-N, L-E-E-D-O-R-S-E-Y.
Okay. And how are you currently employed, sir?
I'm the pastor of the True Believers of Christ Community Church, established back in 1999. We're celebrating 19 years.
Do you know Charmaine and Odell Edwards?
Yes, sir, I do.
How do you know them?
They are members of our church, very faithful members. She and the boys, and he and the boys, they was part of our youth choir, the children's choir, and they work with our youth ministry. They attend our services on Sunday. Anytime we do any kind of special events, they're always there and giving support.
Okay. And did you know Jordan?
Yes, I did.
Tell them about him.
Great young man. When I heard, may I say about the incident and everything?
Yes.
When I heard about the incident, my staff woke me up around midnight, a little after midnight, and I was headed to the Edwards house. One of my deacons called me, made me aware that he had been with the family and bringing me up to speed on everything. And to think of what has happened to Jordan is amazing to me. It throws me. Jordan is a great young man. His nickname, Smile Like Jordan, I mean, it radiates through our church. When you walk through the doors, you know, you're going to get that big smile. I call them the Three Amigos because they were always together. And it's difficult now because, of course, one of them is missing. And he's a great young man, desired to go to Alabama. We had that in common. I'm a Nick Saban fan. He's a great disciplinarian, and he does well with his athletes, and I love that. And so he wanted to go to Alabama, so he was always on my side whenever we would laugh and joke about who Alabama is playing. So, but our church will miss him. Our youth ministry, the kids miss him. They're yet struggling, dealing with the situation, but God is seeing us through it. When I did an interview with Sean Rabb, and he asked me, what do we do or how we deal with times like this? I said, I'm going to trust God. I said, the God I serve is not going to allow anything of this nature to go forward without him stepping in. We're not going to do any protests. We're going to pray at the church, and we're going to trust God. And look what our God has done. He's given us the verdict, not for Jordan, for America. This verdict America needed, so that we can find out that all lives matter. And I think Mr. Oliver have not met him up until this day. I hate what has happened, but we have to answer to our actions. We have to take responsibility.
Let me interrupt you there. Judge, could you ask the gallery not to have any more outcries, please?
Members of the gallery, let's please be quiet. Go ahead, Mr. Stone.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt you. All right, now you told them just now that this family, after Jordan was murdered, refused to allow the town to riot or protest in any way.
That is correct.
Okay? And you were also part of that.
That is correct.
Okay? And can you enlighten them as to why this family refused to do that?
Brother Ed was brought to my attention. I said, I will support and back you on whatever direction you would like to take. He said, for right now, I don't want any prayer vigils. I don't want anyone using this as a platform with dealing with Jordan. And let's deal with his death and get past the funeral service and everything. So he did not want to make, the word came to my mind is spectacle. He did not want it to be a spectacle. He wanted the focus to be on his son, that he had lost his life. So he was not wanting to do anything of that nature.
Reverend, have you had some discussions with them today about these various defense witnesses coming in and telling this jury that the defendant should be getting leniency and a minimum sentence and so forth?
I was surprised to hear today. I'm a grandparent, have 4 grandchildren, and the world, of course, it evolves around them, and I can imagine how we feel about our children and our grandchildren. But when the grandmother said 5 years, knowing that he would be out in 2.5 years. That's justification for the life of Jordan. The Bible I preach from, it tells us, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. And I think the time has come where he will have to answer to his actions. And 5 years would be an insult not only to the family but to you. I think y'all have done a great job. And I do not believe that you've made any mistakes. You've done what the judicial system allows you to do. And I know you're going to finish your job. You've already done one part, murder. Let's finish it and make sure he serves the appropriate time for the sentence you will give him.
Thank you, Brother. That's what you do.
Cross-examination.
Your Honor, we don't have any questions.
Thank you very much. Sir, you may stand.
Thanks, sir.
Please be careful on the road. What says the statement?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, we rest our case in the bottom.
Very good. Members of the jury, it's customary in our law and our procedure to take a break at this time, so if you would please go with the chair and away from the instructions. All rise for the jurors. Y'all may be seated. Mr. Gill, the state is arrested. Rebuttal. What says the defense?
Judge, I guess we could offer, for record purposes, I believe it might be a criminal history on Wendy Oliver that we just got.
Okay. Mr. Hermes?
So I guess the state does have the ability to do that, whether the court asks them to or not. They just don't see fit to do it until the witness has been excused.
You can get the witness back if you need to. Take a look.
We excuse her.
I can order her back.
The court did grant a motion to eliminate on that, did it?
I call the motion to limit. I will revisit it as soon as I'm asked to. And Mr. Hermes, or Mr. Chatham, this NCIC, did it exist when we were talking about it before?
Judge, I was just handed it. We asked our investigator to run the NCIC.
After the
Right,
discussion
once
we
we
had?
brought it up,
after
Your
the-
Honor, we went ahead and we asked him to go over it.
All right. Thank you.
And if you need to hear from the investigator, he is available.
Mr. Lane, is there anything you need to do at this point now that you've reviewed the NCIC with Ms. Oliver, Wendy Oliver?
No, sir. They handed it to us about 2:40.
They did. 250. Is there anything you saw there that you need to bring to the court's attention?
No, we've got it on the record.
All right, very good. They arrested Mr. Gill and Mr. Lane. What do you all intend to do now?
We intend to close, Judge.
Okay? The charge is on receipt. We had the charge conference before. I overruled certain objections that you made. Both sides, I think. Is there anything that's changed since then regarding the jury charge?
Not from the state, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Gill?
Judge, I don't know, we've seen a copy of it. Jim?
Mr. Brissett? Thank you for that. Now, how long do y'all want to argue the case?
At the most, 15, Judge.
How long do you want?
Do we have a 5-minute break so that we can discuss that, Judge?
How long do you argue?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure.
Tell you what, look at the charge. Tell me why it shouldn't be 30 minutes, and we'll go from there, all right?
Yes, sir.
Court's in recess for 5 minutes.
Mr.